Well, first points on the board for the Gujarat Titans. The Lucknow Super Giants, who made a fight of a target of 160, managed to take it to the last over. And we have two new teams and we have two new household names as a result. We have Abhinav Sadrangani in the second half, just like we did Ayush Badoni in the first, and that should make for a very pleasing post-match analysis. What went wrong from KL Rahul? The game was looking like it was coming the Super Giants' way. Was there an over of spin too many? We'll look back at all of it on Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by IQ 95G. I've got Ravi Shastri with me, Lynn, in just a bit from now. Gee, that was entertaining for two new sides. The first game that went to the last over.
Yeah, very entertaining. And good to see the youngsters keep their nerves there.
Yes.
You know, we saw Badoni first, and like you mentioned, Sadrangani, you know, the second time round. Tewatia keeping his cool till the end and waiting for the right moment to explode. I thought, you know, terrific game of cricket. You know, it was attrition all the way, but I thought, especially from the Gujarat Titans' point of view, that partnership between Hardik Pandya and Matthew Wade, that was crucial. You know, after being 15 for 2, just to get that, you know, sometimes you talk of little partnerships, not too many, but just to get teams back on track. That was the kind of partnership needed.
Yeah, lovely. I'd love to go deeper into that in a bit. Let's get first thoughts from Lynn. First up, it's not like it was one-way traffic all the way, Linny. There were wickets early. They took the game in towards the end. Even after those expensive overs with the spinners, there managed to be a few twists. How would you sum up that game? Is the better team over the course of 40 overs won?
Yeah, look, I think so. I think Gujarat were the better side. From Lucknow Super Giants, I think the disappointing thing for them is they gave too many freebies away, and then Gujarat didn't actually have to work for the boundaries. We saw, I mean, how well did Hardik Pandya come out and time the ball, but they weren't exactly their best balls that they were bowled. They were sort of fuller on that leg stump, and he just pounced on it nice and early and swung momentum back, and that was probably ultimately the difference. We saw, you know, the spin at the end there. They just missed their line. Whether that was a factor from the dew, I don't know, but it just seemed like the Gujarat didn't have to work too hard for their runs. They just had to be patient, and the bad ball would come.
Interesting that there's so much incident in this game, which tends to happen when a game goes close or when there are multiple calls that you can debate and disagree on from both sides. So let's go one by one, and let's start at the last 5 overs of the game. Let's go to Ravi first up. 15 overs done, Ravi, and you think Wade and Pandya should take it home. Suddenly Krunal Pandya and Deepak Hooda have brought their team back into it. They needed 68 of 30, and at which point KL Rahul said one more over for Deepak Hooda. The next 2 overs of spin produced 22 and 17 respectively. How would you sum that up?
I think the first over cost them the game. You know, let me be blunt here, because the ball was wet. The job of a spinner, your part-time spinner, was to get 1 wicket and bowl 2 overs max. You know, when you know the opposition batsmen thrive on spin, especially Tewatia, to bowl that extra over was a massive gamble. And they paid the price for it, you know, because in close games, it's, you know, one tactical error that can cost you. You can say in hindsight, what if we had taken a wicket? But when you have that many overs of the fast bowlers left, regular bowlers, you had 1 over of Bishnoi left, which you would have bowled in any case, you know, the 16th over.
Yes.
That 15th over was crucial to get in and, you know, tie things up. And especially after a break, you know, we should have talked about it, probably got a fast bowler in.
It's such
because
a key
27,
call. Yes.
27 is too much, you know.
22 and 17. Yes, so 39 and 2. But point well taken. It's such a tricky call for a captain, Ravi, because Hooda has bowled 2 overs for 9, and you think, it's his day. He's got some runs at the bat. He's got Matthew Wade out. There are 2 left-handers. Would you? Where was the? You know, how you're so tempted to do it. What do you need at that point? Someone telling you, no, I think that's 1 over too many, or maybe let's bowl the seamers now and think of a spinner later.
Probably the way someone would be telling them is, what could cost you the game here?
Yes.
You know, you are very much in a game. And what would you allow max over to go? 15? Even after 15, you're still very much in the game. But 22, and where can 22 runs come off? I can't see it coming off a fast bowler. Definitely not if he's bowling full length, right up into the block hole, at least 3 deliveries in that over. not easy to hit 22.
Yeah, and at that point, like Ravi Shastri mentions, that Ravi Bishnoi had one more over meant one of Avesh Khan or Dushmanta Chamira would not finish their full quota. And both of them started well, Linny. Would you agree with Ravi there? 16 and 17 key moments in this chase where one more
Yep,
over of spin or an
100%.
overspin. Yeah, please.
Yeah, well, the thing is, they've had the break, so they would have, taken a break in the timeout, then come out. And being, yes, he was bowling to two left-handers, but the ball was only ever spinning one way, if it was spinning at all. Um, so that was the opportunity for the chasing for Gujarat to come out and just grab momentum. We noticed they pulled the trigger and they pulled it at the right time. So I think, Lucknow missed a trick there by just trying to, yes, probably got a little bit greedy. Yes, he did bowl 2 for 9, but that's the way that's the nature of the beast. Teams and batsmen are so good these days, especially as I said, when the ball's only spinning one way, that allows the players to hit through the line of the ball, which they did. So I think Lucknow missed a trick there.
It's interesting though, Lenny, that one reason we're hearing from commentary too was maybe David Miller likes space on the ball, so let's keep the spin on. But when the Pacers came on, they weren't necessarily bowling quick or bowling at the stump. So sum up the plan at the end too. Maybe KL Rahul didn't have the confidence to bowl one of his two seamers out for 4. We saw yesterday the seamers took a pasting too while trying to defend a score. What about the approach from the two seamers? Yes, the game was tilting towards the Titans, but lots of slow balls in the last 2 overs.
Yeah, I was scratching my head a little bit at that. Not only slower balls, but into the wicket as well. And a wicket that's got a little bit of dew on it, it's not going to take the pace off. It's just going to skid on nicely. So, again, it's easy sitting on the couch watching. So it'd be interesting to know and get a bit of feedback from the Lucknow side and KL what the thoughts and plans were. But no doubt, that's a big learning curve. You never lose, you only learn. So it is the first game, but they definitely missed a trick there. Like maybe the bowlers first game weren't confident in the Yorker. I'm not too sure, but I think definitely moving forward, it's probably not the right plan.
Ravi.
A few of those slower ones might have been just up your arc, Linny.
Well, anything that's off the stumps is generally in the arc. But yeah, like, I think they just gave a little bit too much width as well. And as I said, the ball never held in the wicket with the dew in Mumbai there. It just skidded on nicely. So a lot of those balls were flying past backward point and just past the keeper as well. And when you're bowling halfway down the wicket, the ball's already halfway in the air. So it gives yourself the opportunity to score around the ground, as we saw.
See, we're talking about where you look at two of the best bowlers in Mumbai who have bowled over the years. One is Malinga, one is Bumrah. Now they mix it up. There are full-length deliveries in between the ones that you hit hard into the deck, and then get that kind of slower one going, and then the odd slower one. But you have something that comes at this side. You have a full-length delivery, and then the odd slow one. But if you bowl everything at that pace, after a while the batsmen start lining you up. And because if they get the opportunity of coming under 1, the chance of a 6 going or a boundary going is much more. So that mix-up wasn't there, what was needed.
You sense what Chris says, Ravi, that fast bowlers aren't quite confident of their Yorkers anymore?
Probably, yeah. And I'm talking of two bowlers here who practiced Yorkers like no one's business in the nets. Whether it was a Shoe or whether it was Bumrah, spending a lot of time with Malinga. Yorker is still the best ball in the business. You look at the history of one-day cricket, of white ball cricket. The best bowlers in the world had a Yorker, whether you like it or not. Whether you can bowl it right up, first up with the new ball, or whether it is towards the death. You have to have that in your armory, and you have to have the confidence of being able to bowl it. If you don't have the confidence of bowling a Yorker at the death, you shouldn't be bowling at the death.
Let me get Lenny as well to just add on. We'll close this discussion there then. Because at 20 of 2, it looked like Avesh Khan had just tried to pull the team back into the game, even though the spinners went for plenty. Then you've got Abhinav Sadrangani playing his first IPL game. You've got Dushmanta Chamira, who's bowled 2, who's taken 2 wickets, who's probably got his tail up. And that first ball, Lenny, is one of those slow ones. Here, Ravi and me were calling it. Ravi said he should be calling it full and straight. And you've got the kid ready to just use the mid-off and go on top. Now, again, little things like that change momentum.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of playing your first game, right? unpredictable. You're not exactly sure. There's not as much footage out there, and you're on the big stage. Your heart's going, so obviously you're going to take a big shot on. So what more would you want? Would you want a fast Yorker, or would you want something slower into the wicket to swing through the line of the ball? But I think when the boundaries get hit when you get hit for a boundary in a different part of the ground where you thought you get hit, you actually go to your plan B and sort of just panic a little bit. So instead of sticking to their plan A, whether it might have been a straight Yorker, if they get hit off that nice and early, and you know what, the runs were flowing, so there's every chance there was a little bit of panic at that stage. So, it's one for them not only to execute their skill, but just to hold their nerve mentally at the top of their mark.
Well, you say that, first IPL game, there'd be nerves and all. They don't bloody show it, do they? Because this guy's on his first game, Ravi. Plays for the Bijapur Bulls in the Karnataka Premier League. Has never played an IPL game before. 2 List A games, 4 T20 games. That's it. No first-class cricket, nothing. Didn't feel like he was out of his depth in the IPL.
What's the time now? 11:30. Sindhi curry would be served everywhere. Let's make no mistake. The couple of shots he played there towards the end, good base. Nice swing of the bat and hit with tremendous power. That second last shot was a tremendous shot through the covers. He just smoked it through the offside and finished the game. Which was good for a young man, temperament, where you got to do the job in that final over. It takes some doing. Yeah.
You guess now, Chris, and I love your experience on this. A lot of these uncapped Indian guys who come in 20 lakhs, not quite sure where they've played their cricket. I don't know how much net time they get in pre-season, but is this all they're doing? Because this is a specialized position. We know that, right? Someone has to come in and get you 15 of 7 to win a game, which is what Abhinav's done here. But this is all that they practice, clearing one leg and just looking to hit through the line?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure how much net practice they get either, but I do know that the IPL sessions do go for about 4 hours, so you'd expect that they do get a decent hit in there. Well, I guess they're just trying to stand out. They're trying to make a name for themselves because some guys do get limited opportunities, and you just want to try and grab that with both hands. So for me, they're just trying to, take every opportunity as it comes because the depth of Indian cricket is so large. There's always one guy knocking on the door, whether it's in the Gujarat squad, whether it's in the KKR squad, wherever it may be. They're just trying to, put their name up in lights, and what better way to do that than trying to close out a game with that temperament, as Ravi said.
A couple of boys that are going to be household names. Like I said, traffic on their cricket info profile would be through the roof right now, and they deserve that. But a good close game gives us so many moments. Let's pick another one now. Ravi Bishnoi to follow up Huda's over. Now, this is a guy who's competing for the #1 spot in the Indian team. Ravi is the wrist spinner. He's bowling to Rahul Tewatia, who has a reputation of playing spin pretty well. Now, how would you sum that over up, which went for 17? If you'd have pulled it back there, you never know what would have happened.
But the pressure was on him. Once the previous over went for 22, then the pressure on him was double, as opposed to the previous over going for, say, 15 or 10 or 12. And, when he started off with a delivery that went for 6.
Yes.
And then the pressure built. So it meant 7 balls, 28. So, you as a young guy, you're thinking, and, Tewatia has this ability to be unorthodox. And he started bowling faster into the pitch. There was no turn whatsoever there. So, he used the pace nicely in that over. Rather than smoking it in front of the wicket, he was more using the pace and getting the runs. And, those 2 overs, literally, 22, 17, 39, that's game over. So, where he has to learn, or where you will judge him as time goes, is when the heat is on, what kind of temperament do you have? I think I always look for temperament. When I have to select a young player, always look for temperament. It doesn't have to be the numbers that catch your eye. It has to be when the going is tough, how do you react? How do you handle that kind of situation? And what are the shots you can play? So you might not get the big runs, but, you look for those kind of things in a cricketer.
So if you're in Bishnoi after he's been reverse swept for 6, are you going to be telling him, that's fine, bowl the same ball, because you bowled a lot of leg breaks that didn't land right?
Correct. Yeah. Back your strengths. A lot of times when the heat is on you, you try things that are not in your armory. That they're not your strengths. You're thinking more about what the batsman will do, and forgetting your own strengths, rather than thinking, to hell with what the batsman will do. I will focus on my strength, and let's see what happens.
Rahul Tewatia, let's give him some credit too, right? Because he put those bowlers under pressure. He had his moment, Lynn, a couple of seasons back. We turned the game around, became, you know, an IPL legend, you'd think, or at least a character in folklore for time immemorial is Rahul Tewatia. But he picks and chooses his innings to show up to the party. He's an odd sort of batter. He suddenly misses some of the seamer, then he takes on the spinner. He's done the job tonight.
Yeah. I think he did it early in the season 2 years ago. So
Yes,
he's
Shelby
a guy
control.
that loves momentum, and once he sucks, puffs his chest out, he's a hard man to stop. And if someone like Gujarat can get him firing down that lower order consistently, you've already got power at the top. So he just brings another element, and a guy that you know changes the bowler's plans by hitting your reverse sweeps. I suppose the disappointing thing about Bishnoi's over was he never attacked the stumps, and that's one of his strengths. So the only way Twatia was getting out was actually just by mistiming a ball. There's no bowl, there's no LBW option there. But you know what? Twatia created those chances himself. He threw intimidation in his face by playing that reverse sweep, trying to get him to bowl wider or shut down one side of the field. And that's what Rahul Twatia does. He's a guy that is happy to play attack, aggressive brand of cricket, fear of failure, non-existent. So he just goes out there, plays his shots, and again, for another little fella, hits the ball a long way.
Game of fine margins. That's why you love T20, right? It's almost like a little chess game. If bowlers got it wrong, batters almost created the error or forced the error out of him, and that essentially decides the game, as Ravi Shastri points out. Now, the reason that Tewatia and Miller were doing the job at the end, and then Abhinav Manohar, is because you could say the premier finisher in the team decided to walk in at number 4 at the fall of the second wicket in the third over. Hardik Pandya walks in, looked in good touch, Ravi, but interesting that he took on the responsibility to come in over number 3. What do you make of that?
I love that. That really showed character as a captain. Chips are down. You believe in yourself, and he looked in great touch. I mean, the way the ball was sounding when it hit his bat, that's the sound that came, bat making contact with ball, the placement, the movement of his feet. I thought that was an extremely important innings. Great composure at the crease. He didn't panic, played some lovely shots, brought them back on track. But then it still needed something special, and it came towards the end.
Yeah, looking at the personnel they've got, there's maybe a case to say, all right, if Hardik wants to do the finisher's job, Miller could bat higher. But would you like to see him bat here for the rest of the season?
I think so. I think there's nothing wrong in that, because what I'd like to see was, when he went out at that number, the way he adapted to that number. Yeah. He was the boundaries will come if he's batting. He'll put the bad ball away. But he was looking for the singles, looking for the twos, which is important when you come up the order. You can't just be thinking about boundaries. Ones and twos also count. They help you build a big score in the end.
It's a very interesting team now that you look at it, and it's just one game, Linny, but we looked at this team and we weren't necessarily saying, gee, that looks a great team after the auction, but they don't have the quintessential top order player other than Shubman Gill, which perhaps gives Hardik Pandya the chance, because you've got Tewatia, you've got Miller, you've got this new kid in Abhinav. You could even play Matthew Wade in the middle if you ever want. That's what he does for Australia. So it's curious that perhaps this was the plan, Hardik Pandya batting higher.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a good luxury to have. What I loved when Hardik walked out the bat is he was only worried about himself. We've seen him in the past get real friendly, lovey-dovey with the opposition, but he was so focused on his own game. He was zoned in, and all he cared about was a little white ball coming down at him, which was great to see. You wind back the clock a couple of years, and that's when he was at his best. That's exactly what he did. I found the last couple of years he wanted to be that cool sort of matey guy on the field, and I found it just took away his focus of what he was trying to achieve out in the middle. So he's got that little spark in his eye now, and you know what? If he stays at number 4, he's going to be very entertaining. And for Gujarat to actually win the tournament, he needs to stay at number 4.
I agree, totally. A very important point, that there's a spark in his eye. What I saw was there was focus. He's worked hard. The fact that he bowled today, 4 overs, he might have not got a wicket, might have gone for a few runs, but I think that for me is the standout. I think that's the most positive thing that's come out of this game.
Yes.
That Hardik Pandya captaining the way he did, batting the way he did. More importantly, bowling his 4 overs and having the confidence to do it.
Yeah, and it must be stressed. He, as captain, had the option to give an over to Tewatia to get an over out of Vijay Shankar, not bowl 4, but he wanted to bowl 4. Did Hardik Pandya? Last question on this, though, is how the Pandya household would have celebrated that wicket or not celebrated that wicket. Krunal didn't want to celebrate it.
And there was a, I was watching the, after the game when the two shook hands,
Yeah.
there was just a wry smile from, Krunal. I won't let you forget it for a while, but Hardik might have said, I'm waiting for the next time around. So, it's, there's always banter between brothers, and I mean, they practice, they must have practiced so much with each other as young kids growing up. So, and then, for the parents at home, for them it's the tough one, for the mother.
He was so annoyed, though, wasn't he, when getting out? Was that just Hardik getting out and getting annoyed? Every batter is unhappy when he's out.
No, because you will get annoyed because you had done all the hard work. You had batted beautiful. Without taking that risk, you were getting the boundaries. The run rate was pretty good, whilst he was there at the crease. So, when he misses out like that after reaching 35 or so, then he would get upset.
Krunal is the bigger brother, but wasn't going to celebrate that one, Linny. You can understand that, perhaps. Don't want to rub it in Hardik's face.
No, well, having seen them train together, every time they bowl and bat against each other, it's basically an IPL game anyway. So this is nothing new for them. But I have seen a couple of big blow-ups from Hardik when he gets in the change room. So he might want to leave that behind closed doors, being the captain now and leading by example with the youngsters in the team. But, they're two guys that work extremely hard at their game, and, the love that they have for each other, I've pretty much never seen it before, in any change room. So it's a good thing. If the Pandya brothers are playing good cricket, Indian cricket is going really, really well. And you know what? It's bloody good to watch.
Yeah, it's good fun, and it's only just begun. We will see them more as the season goes on. But let's not forget where this game essentially was decided. I wonder if it's fair to say that. I'll ask Ravi and Chris now, because they've chased 160 and they took it late, took it deep, but it was 158, clearly under par, and we have to credit Mohammad Shami for that. So is he still, your player of the match? Is he the most impactful player?
No question, no question. For doing the damage early, making inroads early with that, by reducing the opposition to 29 for 4, taking 3 wickets himself. A little bit of luck, he could have had 4 or 5. He should be the player of the match.
And as it turns out, I wonder how many of you went for Mohammad Shami when this question was asked. Let's go to our Maruti Suzuki driving school poll of the day. And just 18% of you were on the money, because that's what we would have wanted to see. More for Mohammad Shami, who ended up with 3. Rashid Khan with the wicket of Deepak Huda. It's fair to say everyone's going to try and vote for Rashid Khan. But remember, Shami gets a lot of wickets. And Lenny, today he got the big one of KL Rahul. I guess whenever you get Rahul first ball, fair to say, with respect to the rest of the Lucknow team, you've effectively, broken the back of the Lucknow batting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've seen KL just, dominate the power play, then bat, lengthy periods up until the 15th, 16th over. So to knock him off cheaply is a great job. And that just would have lifted the spirits of the whole team, and the bowlers bowling at the other guys at the other end. So Mohammad Shami up front. But I think, Lucknow are very lucky that, Krunal actually bowled so well to, get the extremities between runs to balls, in the middle stages of the game, which put them in a good position. So I think they were very lucky in that sense. But again, Mohammad Shami just set the platform for the whole game, not only just the innings.
Yeah, fair enough then. And tell you what, let's wait for these teams to get into the groove, get all their overseas players in, and we might have a lot more to discuss of the Gujarat Titans and the Lucknow Super Giants. But good day for Hardik Pandya at the office, not such a good one for KL Rahul. We'll wait a bit longer before asking Ravi and Chris to go deeper into what they made of these two captains. Ravi's already said first impressions were good of both Hardik, and has mentioned the tactical flaws that perhaps KL Rahul will have to think about at the end of this game. But I will ask for a verdict on one thing from both of you. How are we looking at these jerseys? Ratings out of 10 for these new jerseys. Mr. Shastri, are you liking?
I'm not a fashion designer. I'm bothered about the cricket that's played. What jerseys can, I'm not bothered about that.
Not even giving me a rating then. No, Lucknow, no. All right.
Not my subject.
All right, let's ask Chris Lynn. He's a fashion icon, surely. Not in the Adam Zampa League, I'm sure, Lenny, but tell me what you make of it.
No, not quite, Zams. Gujarat won the game. They also won the jersey contest today.
Oh, there's a
I
nice
think
subtle way
I
of
do
putting it.
like the darker blue. Yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot
absolutely
of
love the
blue.
darker blue. The sky
A lot
blue,
of
not
blue in
so
the
much.
IPL. Yeah, I'm with you. I think we've got to give it to the Titans. We'll see, though, if that translates into success as the season goes on. Big thank you to Chris Lynn, and always a pleasure talking cricket with Ravi Shastri. Thank you, gentlemen. More from you as the IPL continues to gather steam. We've seen 8 out of the 10 teams in action this season. We can't wait to see the Sunrisers, Hyderabad, and Rajasthan Royals make their first appearance. So join us then just after 7 Indian Standard Time. We'll build up to that game on Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket Info T20 Timeout, powered by iQOO 9 5G. Good night.
Thanks, boys. Have a good evening. Thanks, legends.